Now that we've created a batch render, we can look at the batch render inside Maya. You can do that by using FCheck. For example, if I wanted to go back and get the batch render I created with this bouncing ball, I can go up to File and View Sequence. When I click View Sequence, it'll bring up the Browse window for FCheck, View Sequence. And then go to the directory that has my renders. In this case, I had rendered out those images into my C drive in the Maya/images folder. And again, the images folder was provided by Maya once I created the render, or once I launched the render. Maya was a project directory, but then Maya as a program added the images folder for me. In that case, once I get to the correct folder that has my rendered images, I can just click on the very first one, in this case test.01.tga. I'll go ahead and hit Open, and Maya will know to bring in all the other files with the same name, assuming they're correctly numbered. In this case, they are. So I'll hit Open, and FCheck will pop up. It'll play right away. And what it has to do first is load the frames into memory. Once they're in memory, then it can try to play in real time. In fact, you'll see up here this little red status sign. It says mem for memory, and also it will say frames per second. This is the playback speed it's able to achieve. Now, since this animation was created at 24 frames per second, and that's what the preferences are set to for Maya, it's trying to match that frame rate as best it can. Now, it's never going to be perfect because your operating system has other demands, and maybe the images it has to load are fairly large and it has to pull them off the disk. We'll try its best to reach that frame rate. The frame rate's also listed right here. So it says 24 here because that's my preferences setting. However, if you did want to, you could change it right here, and it'll attempt to match that frame rate. So if I entered 30 here, it'll attempt to play back at 30. But since I animated 24 frames per second, that's what I want to look at. I want to see it at 24 frames per second, or at least as close as possible. And it's very, very close, within a fraction of a second. And that way, I'm guaranteed that as I watch it bounce here, that's the correct speed. Now, on this little red line, you'll also notice that there's a time code that shows you what frame is playing and what second is playing. So I have 24 frames per second. It'll show me the frames right here at the right of that number. There'll be a colon there, and there'll be seconds in the center there. Now, there are playback controls here, so you can stop the playback at any time, restart it, or play backwards. You can also scrub through one frame at a time. This is the one frame forward button. And in fact, the exact frame number you're on will be listed right here in the center of that readout. You can also go backwards by one frame at a time. I'll go to the very start of the animation with this far left button, or the very end of the animation with the far right button. Another nice thing about FCheck is you can play it back using some keyboard keys. If you hit the space bar, it'll play based on the direction you were previously playing. So let's say I play forward using the button, then I hit the space bar, it'll stop. I hit it again, it'll continue to play forward. So space bar starts and stops. You can also be more accurate by using your arrow keys on your keyboard. If you use your arrow keys, like the right arrow key, you can step forward one frame at a time. Or the left arrow key, you can step backwards one frame at a time. This is a great way to check your animation to see if it's doing what you want in terms of, is your object at the right place at the right time? Or if you're trying to track down a mistake where maybe something wiggles or it looks a little funny, you can step through and try to figure out what frame has that problem and then go back and edit your animation. So again, arrow keys will step through backwards or forwards, spacebar plays. Now, just like the render view window, you have the option to look at the RGB, which I'm looking at right now, or the alpha channel. There's the alpha channel button right here. And in fact, you can play it back and look at the alpha channel as it's playing back. Or go back to the RGB. So FCheck is a great way to look at a finished render, particularly when you have a series of individual frames.